doesn't hesitate. It hurls us straight into the thick of it. Here's the deal. Ji-yong, now fully aware of just how deeply Kang-ok's been orchestrating things from behind the curtain, finally makes the call. Big moment. Kang-ok, as expected, keeps his tone breezy. Slick, practiced, like it's nothing out of the ordinary. He casually brings up Ji-yong's recent tangle with Detective Cho Heon. But Ji-yong, he's not here to banter. He knows, he says. Simple. Unflinching. That's all. And just like that, the air shifts. You can feel the silence on the line. Kang-ok doesn't respond immediately. Not because he's speechless, but because he gets it. He knows Cho Heon isn't some minor inconvenience. The guy's sharp, relentless, the type who digs in and doesn't let go. He's a threat, and Kang-ok is well aware. So when Ji-yong drops those words, it's not just a warning, it's a shift in the game. Suddenly, it's not just about Ji-yong slipping up. It's about the entire vigilante machine teetering on the edge. And Ji-yong? He's already looking past it. He's calm, focused, thinking 10 steps ahead. Then Kang-ok, trying to keep the mood light, lets out a half laugh and jokes. Asks if Ji-yong's coming after him next. Him and Cho Heon both. You can hear the strain behind it, though. It's not confidence, it's cover. Ji-yong laughs too, but not because it's funny. He laughs because it's irrelevant. Kang-ok's worrying about getting hit, and Ji-yong's already thinking like a tactician. He knows Kang-ok cloned his phone. Of course he does. And he's not mad, he actually admires it. It was smart. But now the board's flipped. It's Ji-yong's move. Meanwhile, across the city, Mi-ryeo and her fellow reporter, Dae-suk, are knee-deep in the thick of it, full-on investigative mode. The warehouse they'd tracked down, buried behind a wall of rusted shipping containers, was choked with dust and half-collapsed. The kind of place meant to disappear. The air inside was wrong, heavy, still, like it had been holding its breath for years. Inside, old computers, hard drives, weapons, every step deeper only confirming what they feared. This wasn't some forgotten site. It was a dumping ground for dirty secrets. Sewol Corp's fingerprints were smeared all over it, masked under layers of decay and silence. And the QQ coin trail? Unmistakable. Evidence scattered like breadcrumbs, receipts, wiped drives, cracked monitors. It was damning. Mi-ryeo and Dae-suk start snapping photos, adrenaline kicking in, hands unsteady but determined. This could be it. The story. The one. But then a shift. A sound. A presence. They're not alone. Out of the shadows, 3 figures. It was a setup. Before they could react, they were cornered. And in a single brutal instant, Dae-suk made his call. He shoved Mi-ryeo toward a side exit, an old service door barely hanging on its hinges, and turned to face what was coming. Go, he said, already moving to block their path. She ran. She had to. Legs burning, chest tight, she ran like hell. By the time she returned with the police and backup, the place was gone. Not physically, but wiped. No servers, no gear, no Dae-suk, no blood, no sign of a struggle, just silence. Like it had all been a mirage. Back at the police station, Cho Heon was feeling the walls closing in. Pressure wasn't just coming from the public demanding answers, it was coming from inside the force itself. Chief Superintendent Aom Jae-hyub's patience was wearing thin. He wanted results. Fast. Soon, Cho Heon said, jaw clenched, voice barely above a whisper. I just need more time. But time was the one luxury he didn't have. Meanwhile, across town at the police academy, Ji-yong kept his head down, trying to stay under the radar. His classmates teased him, nudging with smirks and whispered jokes about his weekend date. He smiled, laughed it off, played it cool. Better they ribbed him for his love life than find out he was actually a wanted man. Still, Ji-yong's mind wasn't on the jokes. His focus was sharp, locked onto the latest Rippo 25H segment that had just aired, a report that sent shockwaves through the public. The story connected actor Jae-hak's suspicious death to Kim Sam-doo, a man with plenty of reasons to silence a whistleblower. The timing was too perfect, too staged. And then Rippo 25H dropped the bomb about the warehouse Mi-ryeo and Dae-suk uncovered. The ripple effects hit everyone. Ji-yong felt it. Cho Heon felt it. Even the rank-and-file officers who usually kept their heads down were whispering nervously behind closed doors. Something was seriously off. Bigger questions started surfacing. How deep did the corruption run? Could Chief Aom Jae-hyub be involved? Was this rotten to the core, or just a few bad apples? Back at the newsroom, Mi-ryeo was feeling the squeeze firsthand. Her boss cornered her, voice sharp and clipped. He wanted her off the story. "You're playing with fire," he warned. "Back off before someone gets burned." But Mi-ryeo didn't flinch. "Bribes? Ethics?" she shot back, eyes blazing. "You're questioning me?" Outside, the darkness was thickening, heavy, like it was bracing itself for what was coming. In a rusted scrap metal on the city's edge, fire flickered low and cruel. A scarred man stood motionless as flames consumed what was left of Dae-suk's body, the smoke rising like a silent warning. Across town, another man waited in the shadows outside the REAP 25H building. Engine off, door cracked, eyes fixed on the entrance. Mi-ryeo was the target. He wasn't planning to miss, but before he could move, Jo Heon appeared out of nowhere. One sharp strike and the man hit the ground. Jo Heon didn't pause to explain. Grabbing Mi-ryeo's arm, he pulled her to safety, breath ragged, gaze fierce. "Stop giving the Vigilante more targets," he warned, voice low but intense. "You're going to get yourself killed." Mi-ryeo jerked her arm free, unshaken. Furious. "Why aren't you trying to catch him?" she shot back. "You know something's wrong. You feel it. You need me, and you know it." Under a little encouragement, the man Jo Heon caught spilled everything. This wasn't some random thug. Mr. Bang was one of Samdu's top enforcers, a key cog in the criminal machine. He and his crew ran their violent operations with ruthless precision, leaving no room for error or mercy. When Jo Heon found them, they were mid-cleanup, disposing of bodies in brutal ways, some even fed to pigs. Without hesitation, Jo Heon plunged into the chaos. Fists flew, bones cracked, and the air was thick with violence. By the time backup arrived, the gang lay broken, bleeding, scattered across the ground, completely overwhelmed. As you'd expect, the police jumped at the chance to spin the story their way. "Vigilante gang busted," screamed the headlines plastered across newspapers and news networks. They claimed DNA evidence tied the factory to the real Vigilante's victims, and that some of the thugs were actually working for the very company supposedly backing the Vigilante cause. But nobody, neither the public nor the media, was buying it. Why on earth would the Vigilante suddenly start hiding bodies? The official story didn't hold water, and the public saw right through it. Kang-ok, for one, was openly insulted by the whole charade. Mi-ryeo wasn't fooled either. And Ji-yong? He was outright furious. So he made his move, quick and decisive. He took down one of Samdu's top enforcers, ripped a ledger out of their hands packed with damning proof of illegal trades, and left a bold message scrawled on the wall. "The real Vigilante is still here." The police scrambled to control the fallout, desperate to steer the narrative, while the media ran wild with the scandal. "See," they seemed to say, "our Vigilante wouldn't stoop to feeding bodies to pigs." Meanwhile, Samdu was in full panic mode. His top man was dead, the ledger gone, and the walls were closing in fast. Orders went out to lie low, keep the money flowing. He was cornered. And just when it seemed like the tension couldn't ratchet up any further, fate threw its wild card. Jo Heon finally caught up to Ji-yong. Spotting him under the dark hoodie, Jo Heon chased Ji-yong deeper into a narrow, shadowy alley. Ji-yong still wore his mask, but this time he didn't try to run far. There was nowhere left to hide, and Jo Heon was right behind him. They stopped, face to face. Ji-yong wasted no time. He struck first with words, accusing Jo Heon of being just another pawn, blindly serving Chief Superintendent Joo-hyuk, part of the system that lets monsters thrive. The words landed hard, but Jo Heon stood his ground. Desperation crept into his voice as he tried to reach the younger man. He wasn't here to fight. Not really. He wanted to pull Ji-yong back from the edge, to show him that his skills and drive could be put to better use. "Fight from the inside," he urged. "Make real change. Don't throw yourself away." Ji-yong wasn't buying it. His expression stayed fierce, voice rising with a righteous fury that had been simmering for years. "Have you ever felt injustice?" he shot back, eyes narrowing. "Have you ever watched the system protect the monsters? Watch them walk away while the rest of us suffer?" Jo Heon's tone darkened. "The problem is, you think you're right, but you don't see what you're becoming." Then, without warning, the fight erupted. Blows came brutal and relentless. Ji-yong fought with everything he had, but Jo Heon's experience and anger overwhelmed him. Bloodied and pinned, Ji-yong struggled for air as Jo Heon's grip tightened around his throat. "You're a traitor," Jo Heon hissed. You think you're saving the world, but you're tearing it apart. All the while, just out of sight, Kang-ok watched silently. Ji-young's back slammed against the concrete with a sickening thud. The air knocked from his lungs as Cho Heon's hand clamped tightly around his throat. The grip was merciless, enough to end it then and there. In Cho Heon's eyes burned fury. Yes, but beneath it flickered something rawer. Desperation. Maybe even guilt. He was trying to save Ji-young. Die now as the vigilante, Cho Heon growled, breath ragged, or join me. Work with me. We can fix this from the inside. Blood smeared across his cheek, gasping for air. Ji-young didn't flinch. His voice came hoarse but defiant. I don't care if I die, he spat. But he had one more question, one that mattered more than the pain. His eyes locked on Cho Heon's, steady and piercing. Did the chief send you to kill me? They struggled again, Ji-young twisting beneath Cho Heon, desperate to break free. But Cho Heon was trained, steady, stronger. After a beat, though, he released his grip. Not because he was beaten, but because something in Ji-young's words struck too close. Maybe doubt. Maybe conscience. Maybe both. Ji-young wasted no time. He sat up, chest heaving. If you really believe in justice, he said, voice sharp as glass, then take down Joo-hyuk yourself. Do it out in the open. Show people the truth. And if you can't, he pressed on, then maybe justice really does belong to the rich, the connected, the monsters. Slowly he rose, blood dripping from his lip, spine straightening with grim resolve. I'm not stopping, he declared. If it takes a devil to punish a devil, then I'll become one. Shaken and weighed down by the alley fight, Cho Heon returned to the station. Waiting was a meeting with Chief Superintendent Joo-hyuk. The chief wasted no time. Calm, cool, like routine. Like the decision wasn't even his. Drop the vigilante case, he ordered. It's out of your hands now. Just protocol. But Cho Heon wasn't buying it. He studied the chief carefully. Is this about Seoul? Denial came fast from Joo-hyuk, accompanied by a warning to not rock the boat. But the look in his eyes said it all. This wasn't about justice, it was about control. Then, just when Cho Heon thought he'd hit rock bottom, the chief dropped another bomb. He was being transferred, effective immediately, and no longer team lead. A flicker crossed Cho Heon's face. Maybe disbelief. Maybe betrayal's sting. But he didn't argue, didn't explode. He just nodded. If the chief thought Cho Heon would go quietly, he didn't know him at all. Elsewhere, in the dim light of Cho Heon's hideout, the man who tried to kill Mi-ryeo sits tied to a chair, blood drying on his face, trembling. The air is cold and heavy. Cho Heon circles him, but it doesn't take much to break the thug. He spills everything fast and messy. At the center of it all is a man named Mr. Bang. According to the thug, he's the only one who truly understands the full scope of the operation. But Mr. Bang is a ghost, impossible to find. To get closer, Cho Heon first needs to track down another enforcer known only as Squeezer. Meanwhile, at the hospital, the mood shifts. Under the quiet hum of fluorescent lights, Kang-ok sits beside Ji-young's bruised, unconscious body. He looks at him with something between admiration and cold calculation, as if Ji-young is a weapon he has personally sharpened. Leaning in, voice low and calm, Kang-ok whispers, "If it comes down to it, I'll kill Cho Heon. I won't let him take you down." It's a promise, not a threat. Then, almost strangely, he pulls out his phone and snaps a few selfies, with Ji-young's battered form in the frame. At the same time, Repo 55 airs a groveling apology, throwing Mi-ryeo under the bus and announcing her resignation. But Mi-ryeo? She's far from done. Thanks to Kang-ok's seemingly infinite resources, she's given a brand new office. Sleek, modern, ready for battle. He tells her they're on the same team now. She's skeptical. What about Kang-ok's ties to Sam-do? Kang-ok insists he's just a man who believes in what the Vigilante stands for. Soon after, Mi-ryeo goes live with her new platform, V News. Bold, unfiltered, and crystal clear, she's not suicidal. If she's ever found dead, it means someone silenced her. She even calls the Vigilante a man fighting for justice. Naturally, this causes waves. Sam-do and the chief are watching, and they are not happy. Choi Mi-ryeo eventually tracks down Squeezer. He doesn't go easy. Dragging him into the same bloodstained bunker, Cho Heon wastes no time. Leaning in, voice low and sharp. "Only one of us walks out of here." The message lands hard. Squeezer pales and starts talking. Meanwhile, Ji-yong is out of the hospital and already back in motion. The bruises haven't fully faded, but as he pores over the stolen ledger, his stomach twists at a recurring name linked directly to Medium Church. A deeper dive into the accounts reveals the ugly truth. The church's pastor has been laundering crypto for Samdu's gang, disguised as charitable donations. Ji-yong doesn't wait for backup. He follows the trail to one of the pastor's trusted aides, corners him in a narrow alley behind the church, and forces a USB drive from his pocket, packed with transaction records and encrypted files. In the scuffle, Ji-yong suddenly freezes, sensing eyes on him. He turns, just in time to catch a glimpse of someone half hidden in the shadows. Kang-ok. Until this moment, Ji-yong has never actually seen Kang-ok's face. Cue a chase through alleyways and rooftops. Eventually, Kang-ok stops running. He's done hiding. Pulling off his mask, he reveals his face and tells Ji-yong he wants in, for real this time. He doesn't want to punish the pastor yet. First, he wants to publicly disgrace him. Ji-yong agrees, hands over the USB, and tells him to pass it to Mi-ryeo. Timing will be everything. Meanwhile, back at the academy, Professor Jun-yub gets an unexpected visitor, Nam Young-gil, the newly appointed team leader on the Vigilante case. Remember, Cho Heon was basically fired without ceremony. Nam Young-gil is polite but probing, his questions sharp as he digs into Cho Heon's recent moves, who he's talked to, where he's been. The professor stays vague but is clearly unsettled. Ji-young, walking in mid-conversation, slows just enough to eavesdrop. Later, in the quiet of his office, Professor Jun-yub casually tells Ji-young he won't be needing help on the profiling app anymore. The words are simple, but the look he gives carries weight, a silent question hanging in the air. What exactly are you involved in? Ji-young feels the anxiety rising. Just how many people are starting to catch on? Fast forward a few days, and the police academy buzzes with activity as Chief Superintendent Jae-hyub makes a grand entrance as the newly named head of the academy. Cameras flash, applause swells. He takes the podium with practiced ease, delivering a polished speech about honor, duty, and justice. But for many, especially those who've seen behind the curtain, the words ring hollow. Students exchange quiet glances, some confused, others clearly skeptical. The disconnect between the speech and the truth weighs heavy in the room. From the back of the hall, Ji-young watches silently, arms crossed, jaw clenched. He sees right through the performance. And judging by the looks around him, he's not alone in his distrust and doubt toward the chief superintendent. At the same time, Samdu's crew keeps laying low, holding their breath. The pastor, still unaware the USB is missing, carries on as if nothing's changed, until Ji-young shows up. He wasn't supposed to act yet, was meant to wait for the evidence to go public, to let the fallout do its damage. But maybe the pastor invoked God's name one too many times. Maybe Ji-young just had enough. The media explodes in outrage. Why would the vigilante murder a man of God? Headlines scream. But the chilling message, scrawled in blood on the wall, leaves no doubt. The vigilante did this, and he had a reason. Samdu, furious, vows to wipe out both the vigilante and Cho Heon. Shortly after, Kang-ok delivers the stolen USB to Mi-ryeo. She's shaken but razor-focused. Looking him straight in the eye, she asks, "Do you know who the vigilante is?" Kang-ok only offers a small, knowing smile. Mi-ryeo prepares for her next live broadcast, ready to burn the whole system down if she has to. But Cho Heon has been watching, and he knows exactly what kind of fire she's about to step into. He crashes the studio mid-show, yanks her off set, and corners her. Ji-young watches from a distance as Cho Heon warns her, "You're painting a target on your back. You think they won't come for you next?" Mi-ryeo stands her ground, eyes blazing. If people don't know what's happening, nothing changes. They clash, two sides of the same war. The cop who refuses to arrest the vigilante, and the journalist who keeps feeding him his next mission. The parking lot is bathed in cold moonlight, the silence thick with tension. Cho Heon staggers back, clutching a bleeding wound, every breath a ragged struggle. Mr. Bang and the assassin close in with lethal precision, movements sharp, merciless. Then from the shadows, a figure steps forward, the vigilante. Ji-yong's presence is sudden, almost spectral. He assesses the scene with a cold calm, eyes flicking between the two assailants and Cho Heon. For a moment, time seems to freeze. The question hangs heavy and unspoken. Will Ji-yong save the man hunting him? Or let him fall tonight? His fist clenches, muscles tensed, decision weighing down every heartbeat. Oh man, here we are. Final chapter time, and things are seriously heating up. Honestly, it's starting to feel like Ji-yong is fighting a losing battle. Like, sure, maybe he'll get what he wants in the end and feel some kind of satisfaction, but I keep wondering, what's the long game here? Does he plan to be a vigilante forever? Or does he think he'll somehow end up joining the police force after all this? Because let's be real, that's not likely. At this point, he'd be lucky just to avoid prison in the next few days. So in a weird way, it's like he's already lost, even if he technically wins. And Cho Heon? I really feel for him. The guy is just trying to do his job, and he's good at it, but now he's starting to blur the lines. The more he chases Ji-yong, the more he starts resembling him, you know? Like he's drifting away from being a by-the-book cop and inching toward vigilante territory himself. I'm super curious to see how Ji-yong's gonna try to pull this off. Like, how is he planning on dealing with Kang-ok? And what's Cho Heon gonna do? Will he hold on to his morals? Or will he cross that final line and team up with Ji-yong for some greater cause? Oh, you know I'm hooked too. This story's riding that razor's edge. For the last chapters, I'm betting on some serious confrontations. Ji-yong and Cho Heon either clashing one last time, or maybe, just maybe, teaming up when the bigger enemy shows their true face. I can see Kang-ok revealing layers we didn't expect. Maybe he's not just a protector, but a puppet master pulling strings in the shadows. Will Ji-yong's fire burn out or ignite a new kind of justice? Will Cho Heon hold on to his morals, or will the line finally break? I'm betting on explosive twists and probably some harsh truths that'll leave us questioning who's really right or wrong. What about you? Drop your theories below. What do you think happens next? Do you see Ji-yong turning into a full-on anti-hero? Or is redemption still on the table? And what's your take on Cho Heon's journey? Like, share, and let's get the conversation rolling for part 4.
법의 처벌이 앞다.